to this Gardener Gone Wild lockdown special. Here he is. Me. And butterfly somewhere. And we, or rather me and the butterfly that has since left my company, are going to go and have a look at a little place that I thought was awesome a few years ago. So, over the fence and not far away was once a place where the flowers came to stay. And no, I'm not talking about these wild brassicas over here. No, I'm talking about these plantings, or rather what used to actually grow in them. As you can see, these are plantings of New Zealand natives, and the reason why they're planted is, as you can guess, that horrible new, or rather new several years ago, expressway, which is of course the Kapiti Expressway, which is locally famous for, let's see, the seal breaking up and costing millions to fix. We're known for this lovely wetland environment, and instead, well, the wetland environment isn't here yet, there it is, and replacing it with something called offset storage. It's basically another name for pretty much where they dump all that horrible chemical laden water off the expressway and pretty much discharge into the environment, leading to all sorts of heavy metals. Hello! The people out and about as well. I mean, lockdown is the best time to go out and explore, isn't it? Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so these offset storage ponds, or as they like to call them, wetlands, even though in reality that's just where all the toxic waste goes from the expressway. Well, you know, still pretty nasty stuff, all the cadmium and all of that coming off, you know, with various hydrocarbons and other organic and inorganic pollutants coming off the cars, going into here and exiting out via small local streams and the groundwater, of course. So let's backtrack and go where I was intending to go. Over where I used to call, or the spot I used to call, the magical garden. Because it was magical. And amongst these native plantings, which, let's face it, a lot of the New Zealand native plants and trees don't produce conspicuous and interesting to the human eye flowers, and let's face it, most of the flowers are typically, you know, quite pale in colour, reduced, and primarily served for, you know, pollination by the native bees, and also various other insects as well, like, you know, beetles, ants, you know, obviously you've got birds for bigger flowers, and what was I going to say again? Flies, because flies can be a valuable pollinator. Anyway, we're heading into the area. Let's just fast forward a bit. Fast forwarding! And here we are, more or less. And look at that lovely birdie saying hello. Hello! So where were we? The garden, or rather, what I used to like calling a garden. But now, as you can see, we've got the native plantings and, you guessed it, invasive species like blackberry and so on. Yes, all that good kind of stuff. Buttercup! And in we go, surrounded by the native grass called wee. And we've got some of the oi, and wee is a jointed rush, and wee is a knobbly rush, and we've got some, I think it's manuka. I can never really remember the difference between manuka and kanuka. But let's just kind of squeeze on through, have a look at how this stuff has grown a lot bigger than it was. So obviously, I'll be showing you guys some photos soon on all the interesting things that used to grow here. We had, you know, all sorts of interesting flowers like mallows and roses and other stuff, which I'll show you in a picture montage soon. At least I think that's what it is. And yeah, the thing is that they could have still quite happily grown in amongst all of this. You know, you see here and there the spaces and the amount of weed killer herbicide, you know, they spray on this is crazy. I mean, when they freshly do a spraying, you just see, you know, the green and blue colour just everywhere. And you see where a lot of these natives haven't survived because they're planted in too harsh and exposed conditions. So that's the thing too, is you've got to plant to the conditions, and they think, oh, what used to grow here and there, you know, pre-European times and all of that. And the thing is, the environment's changed. It's not the same as it once was, especially this expressway right by it. So as you can see, we've got all these horrible grasses and everything growing here, and they go along with their little trucks and their weed spray and the people slashing out plants here and there. And does it really make any difference? I doubt it. So what I'm saying here is I'm not saying anything against using native vegetation of the area. What I'm saying is it's important to look at the kind of habitat that you've got for what you're planting. I mean, we'll see further along plantings that haven't done as well, even though they're planted around the same time frame. It just shows you how much of a difference your site is when you're planting. And if you do choose to do a restoration project, always consider the plants you're using and the habitat. And even though a plant was found in the area, you know, native, all of that kind of stuff, been there for eons, doesn't necessarily mean it's the most well-adapted plant. So from about here, you can start seeing the difference between where the plantings have done well and where they haven't done as well. So it just shows you that there's no point in ripping up all these pretty exotic plants if they are A, better colonised the land, B, have potentially more valuable, have a more valuable ecological contribution, and C, are extremely pleasing to the eye and have a significant amenity value. So let's face it, this end is done extremely poorly, even though it's actually planted at the same time. Ridiculous, isn't it? And even as we pan over here, just see the state of everything. I mean, so, you know, if we ever look along here, it's just tall grass, and all of these weeds, as people call them, you know, just flowering. And these aren't even a nice, you know, these are just literally, yep, weeds, you know. I'm not even going to use my little handy, you know, thingamabobbies. And, yeah, and we've got, you know, species like lupin, which you understand clearing because they can get in the way, even though they're a valuable nitrogen fixing plant and excellent colonizer, especially on sand dunes, which as you have a look, this is basically what they are. Because of course this area is just sand dunes, and well, when they go and dig them up and flatten them out and drain them and all of that, what do you get? They just move sand around. Along the construction they put a bit of peat in, but all that peat has just, you know, it's degraded because, you know, it's so dry and it all just blows away and breaks down and literally is released as dust and carbon dioxide. I mean, you know, just look at this. You know, we had so many amazing, excellent plants that just looked amazing. They're literally valued garden plants, and well, they insist upon ripping them up, don't they, because it's not native. Well, look, I really like New Zealand's native plants. I think they're great. But it's not an excuse for being an eco-Nazi, you know? I understand if something's invasive and goes along and displaces species, and I understand controlling that. But the thing is, you shouldn't be so blind and only use native plants, especially when the native habitat has changed. And I think that sort of a botanical genocide, I'm almost tempted to call it, it's not just. It really isn't. Like, sure, clear this stuff here with tall fleabanes and what looks like some kind of thistle or whatever. But some of the plants that I'm about to show you, you really question, why did they insist upon ripping them out? And that's the thing, they blatantly ripped them out. You know, I used to trek around here and take lots of photos when they're all growing. And the thing is, one day they came along, they literally ripped every single one up, and then they sprayed the whole thing with herbicide. I mean, really, poisons. We've got this waterway, you've got the sandy soil which everything leaches through straight away, you've got a wetland / pollution dump for the expressway, and you've got an expressway. So, you know, really, just makes you wonder, doesn't it? So just another quick thing on that record. Just because something is exotic, it shouldn't be ripped out. Sure, I understand if it's this convolvulus swallowing this taupita tree. So we zoom out, get a bit of the sun on the camera, try to block it with my hand. You get the picture. Just passing by some Koromiko, which is a type of hebe, which is a type of veronica. You can really see the devastation an expressway causes. I mean, just look, there's houses all along here. We've cut through an area that was open space, had a really amazing wetland, had frogs. I mean, I have not seen any frogs in Raumati, or heard them, because you generally don't see them, you generally hear them, since they started work on this expressway. So anyway, enough of that sort of ranting. Not even sure how coherent that is, but yeah, I think I'm just going to go up this hill, over a horse paddock, and get a bit of perspective on things. I mean, at the moment in New Zealand, we're on what they call alert level 3, which is pretty much just one step from the full lockdown, one step down I mean, from the full lockdown that they had. So basically it's still really locked down. I mean, you still have to keep your distance away from everyone. You still have, you know, you still can't really go to any shops unless it's all contactless, except for the supermarket where they've made the exception. Oh, mullen! Oh, didn't realise this little patch of mullen existed. Haven't been up this way for a wee while. As you can see, we've got a horse paddock. Well, it's a horse paddock, and I don't think it's going to be a horse paddock for much longer. So there's no longer horses. So right by the expressway, and yeah, they kind of want to put a housing development in, don't they? Yeah, because everyone complains about there not being enough housing, but when it comes at the expense of land, open land, right in the heart of our communities, to me it doesn't make any sense. So anyway, they used to have more pines here, but they cut down most of them, which is such a shame. And we're the only thing in here providing any shelter, and for a while those horses didn't have much to shelter under. Of course now we've moved down south, just a few k's down to the regional park, Queen Elizabeth Park. And yeah, anyway, some stage, I'm going to have a bit more of a talk about this little herb patch here. This is where I get all food for my animals, and obviously I can forage for greens myself here. That's one advantage of not having the horses around, is all this nice tasty stuff is all just growing up. Growing up. As if it was a baby in the first place. Anyway, now I've got all sorts here, so definitely must have a spiel on that at some stage. And also, what do you think of my latest fashion choices? It's a wild look! Yes! Anyway, I guess we're heading to the end of our little walk and past or through this little paddocklet. Paddocklet. I just invented that word, I think. So yeah. Oh, I should definitely show you some flowers now. Alrighty. Anyway, by the way, please like and subscribe and make sure you watch more of my awesome videos. Please.
Thank you for watching this Gardener Gone Wild Lockdown Special.